And we now have a very, very special guest joining us from the United States. He's a person who's worked very closely with President Trump in the past. Shalabh Kumar Shali, who's a Republican Party chair of the Indian and Hindu coalitions, now joins us. Shalabh Kumar Shali, first and foremost, thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. You've been a vocal advocate for deepening India and US's ties, especially during the previous Trump administration. With the recent joint statement from the Modi-Trump meeting in February this year, emphasizing the goal of $500 billion in bilateral trade by 2030, how do you see this ambitious target being achieved, especially given the potential turbulence in trade relations?
Good morning, Madhav. It's a very good question. And whereas the intention is good, that both parties, United States and India, want to have a growing trade relationship, which translates to $500 billion a year by 2030. That was the declaration. You need to take a deep dive into it. One, President Trump definitely is interested in a strong alliance with India. On several programs with us in public, he has actually declared, was his last phrase in Hindi. You know, I have him speaking Hindi all the time. You know that. So he said, Bharat and America sabse achhe dost. That was his phrase. So Bharat and America sabse achhe dost. So geopolitically, overall, the influence of the Hindu and Indian American community in the United States and our contribution to the American economy and so forth, and India in general, being the largest democracy on the face of this earth. So we want to have a very strong relationship. Our existential threat is China, to contain China in every possible way. So is a problem. China is a problem for India as well. So anyway, the issue is how to go about doing it. It's one thing to declare intention and a goal, but like you said, there's a lot of turbulence there right now.
Yeah.
Because
the reason I'm asking you about. Yeah, the reason I'm asking about that turbulence is because he's repeatedly singled out India in recent days for criticism of trade. You know, we've seen his press conference where he described India's tariffs as unfair, very strong, calling it a big problem. And, you know, the larger question is, beneath this diplomatic handshake, there is this lingering question because, you know, while the two countries are engaged in a free trade agreement, you know, Trump goes ahead and addresses the House. He makes all of these statements about India being a high tariff country. While he hasn't made the kind of announcements that we've seen regarding Canada, regarding Mexico or China, but still there's that deadline of April 2nd and we really don't know what's going to happen at this moment. What's your guess?
Well, that's where actually I was going to get into some real detail. The situation right now here is President Trump, U.S. administration, we want India to buy F-35s, F-15s, more military hardware. India is very resistant to it. There's a trust factor there. Also the factor that the armament is Air Force in general overall, India's armament is 65% made in Russia. So, and Russia has been a long-term reliable ally for India whenever India needed it. Like the most famous example is 1971 and then also 1998, where Israel helped out India, but the United States was a little reluctant. 1998 to 1999, the Kargil War. So there is a reluctance, a trust factor on the part of India. And at the same time, President Trump, like he's frustrated with all the countries that put in so much tariffs. So India, he will keep on citing that India has a very high tariff rate for U.S. exports. So that are the two anomalies. As it sits right now, their trade is $149 billion a year, and unless a real innovative solution comes into picture, that thing actually, even the $129 billion is somewhat in trouble. If anything, I will say, unless both sides, United States and India, come to the table and actually agree on a free trade bilateral agreement, which my goal is to have it by 2026 done. This thing is somewhat in jeopardy.
Okay.
Now, there are ways to do that. And you know what the common factor here is? China. So
absolutely.
actually it was in
Mr. Shalabh Kumar, I agree with you on the fact of China. In fact, there are many questions about whether, President Trump is trying to, de-link from the Asia Pacific. He's made noises about, the US removing from its interests in Europe, and therefore there's a lot of speculation on that count as well. But, that's an important question on many people's minds, because we know about how Trump and his whole spheres of influence thinking, focusing entirely on the region surrounding the United States. Do you think that that's something that the U.S. could also potentially be looking at?
Well, I mean, that's a factor. Of course, there is the MAGA factor. That's what the United States wants. But I want to really more talk about MEGA and MIGA, as they talked about during the press conference in the United States. So there is the Make America Great Again and Make India Great Again. So both and combined and done correctly, and there's a pathway. And I'll talk to you about that. What's the pathway? And the pathway is China. So imagine this. Now, we in the United States import $400 billion per year of manufactured goods. And I just spoke about that on Steve Bannon War Room show.
Yeah.
That is, we import $400 billion per year of manufactured goods from China. Now, if we are able to, and we are working very hard on getting that and getting close to that, if U.S. on April 2nd puts in a 50% tariff on Chinese manufactured goods coming to the United States, 50%. So what happened? And sustained. It's not like one day is there, second day is not there. So then what you could have is hundreds of thousands of American businesses, many of them owned by Hindu Americans, Indian Americans, manufacturing businesses, who can be assured that there will be these tariffs will be permanent, will invest. It's not like just one factory, Elon Musk factory or Honda or Apple. I mean, those can generate maybe 100,000 jobs in the United States.
My last question, Mr. Shali, I got your point, but my last question to you. How much of a factor does Musk play in all of this? Because he's a very senior advisor to President Trump. There's a lot of talk about his Tesla coming in, and just today, there's been an announcement as far as Starlink is concerned with Bharti Airtel and SpaceX announcing that they are aiming to revolutionize connectivity in India and that they would be opening up an office in India as well. Do you think that this could be a game changer as far as, not just Musk's entry into India, but also the very fact that Starlink is a totally different technology and perhaps could open up a huge, world of communication and, cooperation between the two countries, United States and India?
Well, Elon Musk is something else. He is either liked, loved, or hated. Just in the last go-around in the cabinet meeting, President Trump had sort of curtailed his influence, that he cannot go out there and fire on his own a lot of people. So anyway, and also he doesn't like the fact that Elon Musk intends to put a Tesla factory in India. He said that very clearly. He doesn't like that. So yes, whereas Elon Musk is a very important, very crucial player, almost people call him co-president, but there are people in the administration, and I will not name the names, but I'm very close to the administrations, I know. So they're trying to contain Elon Musk.
Okay.
So let's see what happens there. But I want to finish off my talk with you on that. Is in my game plan, 40% of the $400 billion we import from United States, from China today, can be transferred to India. That is the way to build U.S.-India trade relationship, overall relationship, take it to a $500 billion level, which both sides want. But the pathway to do that is really China.
Okay.
Bring the manufacturing which is happening in China, some of it. And my guesstimate is I'm into manufacturing business, and I'm almost 300 billion of that 400 billion is in electronics.
Right.
So I know how that needs to be accomplished. And $100 billion at least of that should be transferred to India.
So, Mr. Shali, may I ask you the final question? There's been speculation of you coming in as, the United States' ambassador to India. Anything you've heard on that?
Well, I will not be talking about that. Yes, there are considerations, and if offered the position, I will be seriously considering it and giving it a thought. I've always said that Bharat is my Janam Bhumi and America is my Karam Bhumi. So.
All right, Mr. Sharab Kumar Shali, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your views in your typical candid style. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.